I don't really love the way you're like,
but she genuinely believes in some weird stuff, has an altar at her apartment.
But then you said she tries selling blessings and hexes on Etsy. I just like immediately do not trust people who sell doing spells. And if you have a reason why you think I'm wrong about that, I want counterexamples if you have them. Witchcraft Edition. Hello friends, old and new, it's Vervain. I am a witch. I have been practicing magic for over 20 years now in some form or another, and I mainly use this channel to share my combined love of crafting and the craft. And lately I have been, learning to crochet and therefore diving into the crochet end of YouTube. And one of the things that I found a lot of that I've really been enjoying is knitting and crochet themed Am I the Asshole posts. And I thought, I really enjoy listening to these while I do other things with my hands. I bet they're really easy to make. And I haven't seen anyone do any witchy themed Am I the Asshole videos. Doesn't mean that there aren't any. It just means that they haven't been put in my algorithm. So what I have done, I just searched Reddit, Am I the Asshole Witch? And then opened 20 tabs. We're probably only gonna read 5 today. But if you guys enjoy this video and want to see more of this sort of thing, let me know. Then we can come back and do more. So let's get into it. Okay, I have not read any of these. Here's our first one. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend that she's not a witch? I, 26 male, think my girlfriend, 24 female, got bored during the lockdowns last year and has gained an obsession with witchcraft. She keeps saying that she's a witch, and she has filled our house with herbs, candles, crystals, rune sets, and weird trinkets. At first, I didn't care because I thought it'd be a temporary thing, but I was very wrong. She gets up at 3 in the morning just to do rituals and spells or whatever it is witches do. My girlfriend burns so much incense that it gives me a headache and makes our house smell strange. I hate it. She also tries to make me drink random herbal teas that taste like shit. I really was trying to be supportive, but it's starting to frustrate me. A few hours ago, I came home from work, and as soon as she saw me, she told me that she senses bad energy and started spraying some mist thing on and around me. So I may have snapped and told her that she was acting crazy and she needs to let this witch thing go because she's not a real fucking witch. My girlfriend was offended and told me I wasn't a supportive boyfriend, that I was acting disrespectful towards her beliefs, and now she's refusing to talk to me until I apologize. Am I the asshole? Starting to wonder if I should have just kept my mouth shut. There is so much going on here. I need to reread some of this. My immediate thought is that you're both assholes. What I'm getting from this is that it's not the fact that she is a witch or is doing witchcraft or whatever that's bothering you. It's the fact that it's taken over your entire life and your entire relationship, and it's become an excuse for her to violate a lot of your boundaries. I don't know how many of those boundaries are things that you've clearly expressed out loud, but I do feel like some of them, some things she burns a lot of incense and it gives you a headache. That might be something where you need to say out loud, hey, this is too much incense. This is giving me a headache. Can we tone it down a little bit? But things like her spraying you when you walk in I'm presuming without your consent, you don't sound like you've consented here. But it sounds to me like you're not really necessarily even bothered that there's herbs and crystals and runes or whatever around your house, or that this is something that she's into. It's more that it's taken over y'all's entire house and entire life, and this was not something that you signed up for or consented to, and she's using it to violate, as an excuse to violate your boundaries. She may not see it that way. She may not see it as oh, I want to violate his boundaries, I'm gonna use witchcraft as an excuse. But trying to if she wants to drink herbal teas for her magical reasons, great. If she wants to invite you to do that, great. If you don't want to do it, that's also cool. She should not be like pushing this on you. I do think it's reasonable for her to expect a little bit of support, but I don't think that like supporting someone's spiritual endeavors necessarily requires tolerating like this much of a lifestyle change, or like tolerating like levels of incense that are giving you a headache, or drinking things you don't want to drink, or being sprayed with magical misting sprays without your consent. So I do think she is doing some assholery here. I also think when you say, so I may have snapped and told her that she was acting crazy and she needs to let this witch thing go because she's not a real fucking witch. Like, the problem here is that that's like level 10 and you let it get to level 10 before you snapped and said that. It's sounding to me like you haven't really done a whole lot of communicating that you need all of this to be like toned down and reined in a bit, and that you don't want to be super involved in this, that like, you know, hey, what you want to do is cool, I don't want to be like super part of it. Also, like you said, she's like getting up at 3 a.m. just to do rituals and spells. Like, does this mean that like her getting up at 3 is like waking you up at 3? Is she just like up at 3 just because, or is she like setting alarms for 3 a.m.? Like, that's, I don't know. I don't know. This does sound a little obsessive. However, I also totally understand, like, when you get excited about a new thing, really wanting to dive deep into it. I get that. But also, like, if you guys are living together and this is not something that you signed up for when you started living together, it's okay for you to have like boundaries around this thing that is new to your guys' household and your guys' life and relationship. What you said, I think was, yeah, it was assholey. But I don't think it's unreasonable for you to like be upset at this point. I just think that you should have said something sooner, and you should have said something a little less rude. But also, it doesn't sound like she's being very cool. So that's all I have to say. Okay, let's see. What do the comments say? Not the asshole. She crossed a line when she started to spray you directly, which is the same as being sprayed with holy water. If the two of you can't come to an understanding and mutual acceptance of each other, you're headed for a breakup. Yep. No, I think it's everyone sucks here. Yeah. Girlfriend is crossing a line by forcing her boyfriend to participate, but witchcraft is a legitimate spiritual practice. It's like telling someone they're not a real fucking Christian if they hold up a cross, or they're not a real fucking Jew if they put a mezuzah on their door. A, it doesn't make much sense because you're using their spiritual practice as grounds to claim they're not the religion they are part of. And B, it's just a dick thing to do to attack someone's spirituality when instead you could just ask them to not pull you into it. Yes. Okay. I don't even need to read further here. I think this is, yeah. Everyone sucks here. Exactly. Okay, let's X that one out, and then we go to the next one. But first we have a sip of our tea that is not tea. That's so good. I planted a chamomile plant because I've always wanted to grow German chamomile. It is like one of my favorite flowers, okay? Like, roses exist, so it can't be my favorite flower, but I just love them. They're like the most cheerful little yellow and white daisies, but they're tiny, so they're extra cute, and they're medicinal and delicious, and they smell nice. It's great. And my German chamomile plant, which I was like this big when I bought it as a starter, is now months later like this big and has like 3 sad flowers on it. But I still get to drink teabag chamomile. Do you say chamomile or chamomile? I need to know. Not which one's correct. I'm willing to accept that they're both correct. I'm not willing to accept that chamomile is wrong, but I am willing to hear how you pronounce it. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's not a witch? I'll try to make this short. I'm 20 and my sister is 22. She has become obsessed. Is this like the same thing? She has become obsessed with witch stuff, and I thought it was just an aesthetic thing. But she genuinely believes in some weird stuff. Has an altar at her apartment and tries selling blessings and hexes on Etsy. My birthday... My birthday was recently, and she got me a rock. I laughed at first before realizing she was serious. I was pissed because I bought her an iPhone portable charger and she earns more than me. So I snapped at her and said it's all bullshit and she needs a reality check and to find better hobbies. She's been crying to our mom, but am I really the asshole? Once again, it sounds like we've got two people here who are not living in alignment with their highest selves, if you'll forgive my, I guess, weaponized spiritual talk. Is that what we call that? Like, look, it's like people find out about witchcraft and they resonate with it and they get into it and it is real. Like, whether you like it or not, it is real. You know, there's good sides of it and there's bad sides of it, and some people get into good sides of it and some people get into bad sides of it, and some people get into sides of it that are perfectly fine but not for me, and you know, vice versa. And so, like, I don't really love the way you're like,
but she genuinely believes in some weird stuff, has an altar at her apartment.
Okay, but then you said she tries selling blessings and hexes on Etsy. I just like immediately do not trust people who sell doing spells. And I say this as someone who sells tarot readings, and allow me to try and articulate why this is. I think it is one thing to like, okay, because when you're selling like a reading, the result happens in the meeting. Like during the reading, you get the result. The result is the reading, and any like conclusions you come to or any guidance that you get during your reading. And sure, like things happen after the reading based on actions that you take based on the reading. That's true. So like, you know, you will continue to get value from it afterwards as time goes on. But you should already know by the end of a reading that you got value. And ultimately, like, I'm charging you for my like years and years and years of skill and my time as we're working together. And also, like, second category of things, like charging for like magical items, like a charm or something, or like a piece of magical jewelry, or like a handmade magic wand, or, you know, there's all sorts of things where you're like crafting something and putting magic into it. Once again, like you make the purchase, you get the item, you've gotten the thing that you paid for. And you know in both cases that like you're getting what you paid for. Now, you don't necessarily know that like the necklace you bought was actually charged under a full moon. You know, you don't necessarily know like how much intention and love and care was put into it. That you just kind of got to go on vibes. But with something like selling spell work and selling curse work and so on, that is prime territory for scammers, because there is no deliverable really. Like, sure, you can say, okay, like I'm gonna send you like a picture of the candle I carved, but like how much does that really prove? Like, you know, I don't know. So I'm not saying that everybody who sells spell work is scamming. I'm just saying that the way that it works and the way that those services are delivered makes them prime territory for scammers. And a lot of people who sell this clearly are scammers. Now, your sister may mean well. I also think that somebody who's like quite new to witchcraft, I'd have to wonder, how happy is she with her life? How successful is the magic that she does for herself? And how qualified is she really to be selling magical services for other people if she's like just gotten into this? Like if I'm not gonna pay someone to do magic for me because I'm just gonna do magic, guys. the thing about witchcraft, I don't know. And I think that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I don't like about selling magical services, like specifically spell work, curse work, hex work, whatever, is that generally the sorts of people who buy these sorts of things, because I don't sell these things, but I do get emails from people who write me through my contact form wanting me to do spell work for them. So I know about these people. And generally these are people who are looking to avoid taking responsibility for their own life at almost any cost. And so they are willing to pay someone else to do magic. And I think there's a sense in which like they don't even really care to deeply examine how authentic they believe your magic even is. They're just like so eager. Like if you're selling spell work, they can see that as like, I can pay you money so that you will take the responsibility of fixing this thing that's wrong with my life. So I don't have to do anything myself in my life to fix this. I don't have to make any major changes in my life to fix this. I can just pay you money and you'll fix it. Or at least you'll say you fix it, and then if it doesn't get fixed, I can blame you instead of my own decisions. So I don't know anything about your sister, dear Redditor, but I do know that I automatically distrust anyone who is selling blessings and hexes on Etsy. And if you have a reason why you think I'm wrong about that, please tell me in the comments, because I want counterexamples if you have them. Okay, then the next part though. My birthday was recently and she got me a rock. Here's the thing. To this Redditor's sister who bought the rock for her sister, so witch bought non-witch rock, non-witch bought witch iPhone portable charger. And then you're saying like I was pissed because, you know, I bought her this and she earns more than me. Well, let me just say, I don't know what it was because you're just calling it a rock. I would bet it was probably a pretty nice rock. And just because you're looking at it and saying,
it's a rock, what the fuck,
doesn't mean that it's worth less monetarily than a portable iPhone charger. I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I have some very expensive rocks in my collection. So, you know, there's that. And also, you can't be buying the gift that you want for people who are not into what you're into, okay? Witches buying non-witches rocks, crystals, that's what we call them, okay? I'm assuming it was a crystal. Look, if she just got you like a river rock, I'm sorry. But if she got you some beautiful or a quartz or something and you're like,
what is this rock?
Like, she shouldn't have done that because she should have known you well enough to know that it would go unappreciated, and she should have bought herself whatever rock she wanted and then got you something that she thought you would like, or y'all should just not be buying each other gifts because you clearly don't like each other and it's not gonna fix your relationship. Now I'm gonna read some of the comments. Everyone sucks here. It may all be bullshit, but it's a fine hobby. You were the asshole. Buying you a rock was insensitive of your sister. She got you a gift that was nothing to do with your interest or wants. She was an asshole. Yep. As a witch myself, I agree with this. Don't get someone a present you know they won't be interested in. I've certainly never given anyone literal rocks as gifts, even if they've been soaked in moon water or were taken from a power spot. I keep those rocks for myself. Exactly. Agreed. I would look at a witch giving me a witch rock the same as a Christian giving me a Tupperware full of holy water. A piece of junk that only means something to them and is a completely narcissistic present. OP could have maybe not knocked the sister's hobbies, but the witch rock gift is ridiculous. I don't care if it has good energy or if it has a spell on it. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, I don't see where OP said this, and it looks like there were some rules violations in this comment thread, so maybe some comments were removed. Anyhow, but people are saying
OP literally explained that she had received a dull, ugly rock picked fresh from the ground.
Sorry, even somebody who's into rocks is not going to appreciate that unless it's like yeah, like someone said, like from somewhere sacred or whatever. But even then, you better know someone pretty well to give them an ugly rock. Yeah, someone here says, not sure how it's a fine hobby. She's selling hexes online. If she believes in this stuff genuinely, she is willingly selling things that she believes will hurt people. And if she doesn't believe in this stuff genuinely, she's willingly scamming people. So yeah, I don't think there is a good possibility there. I need to know about this rock. So here, let's go back to the question, because the headline is, am I the asshole for telling my sister she's not a witch? And my answer to that is yes. However, your sister's also an asshole, and you guys probably need a break from each other. The end. Okay, let's X that one out. We're done with this. This is going kind of long. I think I'll be able to edit these shorter. I don't know how many should I do. Well, we'll see. Okay, here we go. Am I the asshole for throwing out my daughter's witchcraft book? This happened about 12 years ago when my daughter, Sally, was 10, but I wonder if I'm still the asshole. My gut reaction is that if you're still feeling guilty about it 12 years later, enough to post on Reddit about it, there's probably some assholery going on here. But let's see. Because as much as I believe in, like, you know, you may not end up with the same beliefs as your family, I do also believe in generally respecting the wishes of the person whose house you live in. So anyhow, let's take a look. When Sally went to elementary school, she became interested in witchcraft. Same. She and her old friends at elementary school went through this short phase of interest in witchcraft when some specific witchcraft book came out. This book had like a navy blue covering with an opal on the front cover. I don't remember the title, but I distinctly remember another one of her friend's parents describing it as a witchcraft-themed book. During one of her playdates, I watched Sally and her friend go through the book, and it was clear they were interested in it. I'm like trying in my head to think like what book this could be. When I saw this after the playdate, I told her that under no circumstances was she ever to buy or bring that thing into our home. We are strictly Roman Catholic, and I would not tolerate her interest in witchcraft any further than her discussions about it with her friends. Sure enough, Sally's old elementary school had a book fair, and the book was apparently one of the top sold books at this fair, according to Sally's old teacher. That's fascinating to me. That an elementary school book fair would even have a witchcraft book, that's like so foreign to me. As somebody who was really trying to get my hands on this sort of information when I was that age and a little older than that, and really had a lot of trouble with that. And granted, this was back in the early 2000s, but still, it's that's weird to me that a school even I believe in witchcraft. I think that witchcraft can be good, and I am weirded out by a school book fair selling witchcraft books. Okay. Many parents bought their kid this book, which was astounding to me since we are a predominantly Catholic neighborhood. I knew my daughter wanted this book, but I thought she knew better than to buy it. Unbeknownst to me at the time, one of Sally's friend's parents, who was chaperoning at the book fair, mind you, apparently took her aside and bought her the book because they bought their son the book and knew my daughter wanted it too. Okay. Also not cool to buy other people's children books about any sort, unless this friend's parent was very in the wrong here. Okay. There's so much happening in this post. Unbeknownst to me at the time, one of Sally's friend's parents, who was chaperoning at the book fair, mind you, apparently took her aside and bought her the book because they bought their son the book and knew my daughter wanted it too. When I found out a month later, after finding the book while I was cleaning her bedroom, I was livid. I took the book from her bedroom and threw it away. This was when Sally was still in school. When she came home, I calmly asked her where she got the book from, and she told me the truth, reluctantly, but after she told me, she begged me not to talk to the boy's parents because she apparently told them that I didn't want her buying the book, but they bought it for her anyway, despite her apparently telling them not to. I calmly but sternly told her that I threw out the book, and I restated why to her. We are a Catholic family, and I would not tolerate her interest in witchcraft any longer. I was prepared for an argument, but she looked too crushed to argue, and she just nodded and ran to her room in tears. Thankfully, this seemed to end her witchcraft phase. Now, I wonder if that was the right decision because Sally grew to resent Catholicism as she got older and is now an atheist. Not only that, she has recently told me she is not raising her newborn son to be Catholic. Sally is quite vocal about this whenever I ask if she plans to have her son baptized, and I wonder if this made her this way. Am I the asshole for throwing out her book about witchcraft? Okay, so, boy, we really get to the meat of the issue here at the end, because it actually doesn't sound to me like you're asking if you're the asshole for throwing out her book about witchcraft. It sounds to me like you're asking if you had done this differently, would you have maintained more control over your daughter's like religious path and her decision about how to raise her children? Here is what I will say. I can only speak for myself here, but I am somebody who needs to understand the why behind things, especially like rules or guidelines or advice, all that sort of thing. And if you give me good advice or you give me a rule to follow and I think it's dumb or unnecessary or doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like there's an actual good reason for that rule, or it seems like there's some legitimate logical workaround that makes that rule not apply, I will then go about living my life without that rule. And then if it turns out that there was a good reason for that rule, I will find out what it was through experience. And it turns out that there are a number of pieces of good advice that my parents gave me and that other adults in my life gave me when I was a youngin', that like there were good reasons for these pieces of advice. But because my parents or these adults or whatever either couldn't or didn't articulate these reasons well, I didn't see the reasons, and so I ignored that advice, and then over the course of like 10 years found out a lot of things. And I'll give you an example. We can talk about polyamory here. So I used to be polyamorous, which is a weird thing to say because I think that as far as like my ability to like love people is concerned, like I fall in love so easily, okay? And if it's like, what am I probably am polyamorous. Like I have a hard time relating to people who like don't, like they can say like, oh, I've never ever been attracted to like more than one person at a time. That like I can't relate to that. And I just like I fall for people, okay? I love people's hearts. I love people. I really do. That's why I write so many love songs. And that said, I no longer live polyamorously because it turns out that like in the world that we live in, it's highly impractical and introduces so many complications. I think it could work well in like an actual tribal society. And I just don't think that there's a way for it to work well for 99% of people long term. I eventually stopped practicing polyamory because I realized that like settling down and starting a family was really important to me. And as much as I could envision a utopian situation where those things could work together, like that sort of thing working out was not actually a possibility in the reality that I was living in with the people that I cared about. And furthermore, like love, I don't think that love is limited, okay? But time and energy are extremely limited. And just feeling love for someone isn't enough to sustain a healthy, happy relationship. So the more people you want to sustain happy, healthy relationships with, the more time and energy you have to devote to relationships. And especially when you're introducing all of the complication that like, you know, as much as we'd love to think that like jealousy shouldn't have to be a problem, like it's going to be a problem for someone, okay? And if it's not a problem for anyone in your polyamorous relationship, great, fantastic. You've won the lottery there. I hope it lasts for you, okay? And I hope you're all happy. But I really wanted to have kids. I really wanted to make art. I really wanted to record music. I really wanted to do all sorts of creative pursuits. And also I still had a job. Like I wanted to do so many things. And I realized that for my priorities, regardless of what, like how many feelings I have for however many different people or whatever, it was not conducive to my goals to be pursuing multiple relationships and devoting all of the time and energy that would be required to maintain that sort of thing. And so I have just spent probably too long articulating to you, like, why I realized after like 10 years of experimenting that polyamory was not right for me as a practice long term. But my parents, never having experimented with it at all, did not have that experiential knowledge and could not articulate that to me when they tried to tell me that they thought polyamory was a bad idea. And so I heard them say that, and I just thought, you're being judgmental, and I'll show you. So I say all this, I do have a point here. I say all this because look, Catholicism is fine, okay? Witchcraft is fine, okay? I understand that they don't like to be friends very often, which is a little bit weird because Catholicism is the witchcraft of Christianity. So many Catholic saints are just stolen pagan gods, and that's fine, okay? Catholicism has so much ritual that is so... Catholicism is so pagan. So it's funny to me that they are, just ask anyone who practices Santeria, okay? But that is beside the point. What I'm trying to say here is that you as a mother here who are writing this Reddit post clearly have strong Catholic values, or like, you know, your belief in Catholicism and the level at which you value Catholicism, those are very high. And you have a really strong aversion, or you had, you know, at the time that this all happened, to witchcraft, such that you know deep in your soul that you just don't need anything to do with it. You don't want anything to do with it. But it doesn't sound like you were able to articulate to your daughter, or maybe you just chose not to articulate to your daughter, why you have those strong feelings against witchcraft. And so if it was me in your daughter's position, and you just like threw away my book and was like, I won't tolerate your interest in witchcraft, I wouldn't hear witchcraft is a bad idea and here's why. I would hear my mom is judgmental and wrong, and I now have to find ways to pursue the truth and to pursue the things that are important to me, the things that I'm passionate about, where this person who is getting in my way can't stop me. And I would also hear, you know, my mom who belongs to this religion based on this guy who preached like no judgment, like, you know, let he who's without sin cast the first stone. Like that's the foundation of your religion. And then you're going around judging me. So I no longer trust Catholics or Christians or whatever because they don't practice what they preach because you're being very judgmental. So those are the thing, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily like a judgmental person across the board. But it sounds to me like you had some really strong beliefs, and that led to some really brash actions. And it sounds like your feelings and beliefs and actions and decisions were not explained. And it sounds like probably in general, not just in this instance, but in general, you and your daughter would have benefited from some more frank conversations about religion and spirituality and values and all those things. When you present a religion as just like, this is what we believe and it's right, and don't ask questions and don't challenge it, it really feels like, well, why don't you want me to challenge it? Like, why are you so scared of me challenging it? Is it because you know it's really fragile and that if it's challenged, it'll break apart and crumble and fall apart and die? Like, if your faith in it is so strong, why are you so afraid of me challenging it? If this other thing that I want to explore is so bad, why can't you articulate why it's bad to me? So that's a little piece of too little too late advice for how I think you should have handled that with your daughter. And not just that, but like, I would suspect that this is not the only event in your life that led to her becoming an atheist. The other thing I would say is, you raised your children. If you want any part in your grandchildren's lives, respect your fucking daughter's wishes, okay? She is their mother now. Hands off. You get to be a grandma. It's a beautiful thing, but you do not get to control the mothering of your grandchildren, okay? You got to control the mothering of your own children. It came out how it came out. You do not get to control the mothering of your grandchildren. Hands fucking off. For this third one, I can't believe I didn't even look at the comments while I was recording earlier. But I've looked at the comments, and I cannot believe this didn't even occur to me, because I said it. I was like, that's really weird that the school book fair was selling books about magic. And basically all the comments are like,
it sounds like you don't even know what this book is. It was probably like some fictional children's book like Harry Potter or something, like vaguely witchcraft themed.
Like it's probably not something like Buckland's Book of Witchcraft, right? And I thought about it and trying to like picture, like, cause she described it as being like navy blue with like an opal on the cover. Yeah, you're the asshole. If it was sold at a school book fair, chances are it was fictional or educational. You seem to be the only person by your own admission that had a problem with the book. So yeah, you're definitely the asshole. You're the asshole. Instead of just following the teachings of the church, you should have asked her why she was interested in witchcraft. You did not even try to understand your daughter and just forced the same beliefs as you onto her. She is her own person and needed to come to her faith on her own journey freely, not being forced to have them. A faith that is forced is not true faith. I don't know, guys. I feel like you can't make someone believe something. And I don't know about like, I do think that like forcing your religion on another person, that seems like going a little far. But I do think that like when you are the parents and the homeowners and you have a 10-year-old daughter, assuming this is not like an actually abusive situation, I do think the parents kind of have a right to be like, hey, in this household, this is what we do and don't allow. And do I think that it was wise of this mom to just like throw the book out instead of like looking at it and having a conversation about it? Like, do I think it was wise of the mom to react the way that she did? No. But do I think that she was like out of line as a parent to want her daughter to like abide by Catholic values while still like being a member of the family and living in our house? No, I don't think that's ridiculous. Okay, there's one more comment I gotta read you. This is the one that made me really think here. You're the asshole. 1, it doesn't sound like you know what the actual contents of the book were. 2, a book at a children's book fair about witchcraft is not going to be anything that is going to make a child practice witchcraft. 3, you threw the book away while Sally was in school, so she had no chance to talk about it, explain it to you, show you the real contents before you destroyed it. I live in a very Catholic part of the world where the most beloved children's TV, book, movie, radio play series is about a little girl who is a witch. All of the children read it, watch it, and listen to it. None of the parents care because they have informed themselves about the content and know that the series is more about doing the right thing and supporting your friends than it is about magic. The same thing with Harry Potter. A lot of religious groups spoke out against it because it promoted witchcraft, when really it was a series of children's adventure books that taught children a lot about the values of friendship, doing the right thing, helping others, and being brave in the face of evil. Also, Harry Potter is a Christ narrative. Sorry. Magic is something that appeals to all children because children are very imaginative, and the idea of magic allows their imagination to take flight. I'm guessing that you were a rather strict Catholic while your daughter was growing up, and that this book incident isn't the only one she remembers with a negative association towards Catholicism. I would advise against pushing Catholicism on her or her child at this point. Oh yeah, why is no one else mentioning the child? The more you push it on her, the more she'll resent you for it. If you give her space, she may find her own way back to the church, or she might remain atheist. The important thing is that you didn't destroy your relationship with your child by creating ongoing tension and fights in your relationship. Yes, yes, yes. Once again, get your hands out of your grandchild's religion. If you really want to have a good influence on your grandchild's religion, lead by example. Show them what it looks like to live a good life by your values and to be a good person by your values, and how you shed light onto the world around you when you live by your values. And if you do that successfully, eventually they're gonna wanna know, what is it that makes her so wonderful? And then you can tell them about it. But don't mess with the mom's parenting decisions. Don't do it. I know what it is. I figured it out. I know what the book is, okay? If you got this right away, or if you think you know what this is before I say it, comment it down below in the comments. I need to know who got this before I did. I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't get it sooner. I'm so embarrassed that I originally thought that it was like, that it might actually be a witchcraft book. When you know this, it makes this whole story so much funnier. Okay, navy blue with an opal in the center. I recorded the rest of this video last night, and I woke up this morning with this book cover burning in my mind's eye. I own many of the books in this series, but I never owned this one. This has to be it, guys. This has to be it. It's wizardology, right? Right? Tell me it's not wizardology. Tell me that's not it. Navy blue, opal in the center. The Book of the Secrets of Merlin, popular at school book fairs a dozen or so years ago. It's got to be this one. It has to be wizardology. And if you're not familiar with this series, let's just flip through so you can kind of see what it is we're looking at. These are like fictional books with like little flaps and pockets and fun stuff. They are kind of like based in, you know, traditional lore or whatever. But this is not what anyone could call a witchcraft book. This video is surely long enough now. So we're gonna call it quits here for the evening. I did not expect to give you a whole lecture on my experience with polyamory and why I realized that it was a bad idea for me. But I did do that. So anyhow, this is the first witchy themed, witchcraft themed, am I the asshole video that I've posted. Yeah, let me know if you want more of these. I want to do more of these because I want to read the rest of these posts that I pulled up, but also I don't want to read them like before I record them because I want to give you guys my genuine in the moment reaction. So I'll see you later. If you did enjoy this, please do give it a little likey like. That's down this way, actually. Give it a little likey like and hit ye old subscribe button here so that you can see more of what I do. I sometimes talk about other witchy stuff and also other crafty stuff. I make junk journal grimoires and do magic-y, crafty, pretty collage-y stuff in there. And also I've been posting a lot about tarot lately. And also I posted a lot about tarot like 7 years ago. And yeah, also I have a blog, and ooh, you can subscribe to my newsletter because I've recently restarted my newsletter and I've been doing fun little pick a card readings in them. So like I show you like the backs of 3 cards, right? And then you pick which one you want, and then there's the rest of my newsletter. And then at the bottom of the newsletter, I show you what the cards are and like which one was yours, and I give you a little interpretation for it. And it's so fun. So fun. I have fun writing them, and I think that they're like, I think this is a legitimate form of divination. It's not quite as like bespoke as my one-on-one readings, which I also do, and so you are free to peruse my emporium at the links below in the description. I'll leave a bunch of links for you to explore down here. You know, I do a lot of interesting stuff, okay? I have a beautiful website. I worked really hard on it. Just because I worked really hard on it doesn't make it good, but I do think it's kind of good. Obviously, I could still create a lot more content for it, but that's what the rest of my life is for. So, anyhow, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to stop rambling at you. It's 11:59 p.m., so we've been here almost an hour. Hopefully, I'll edit a lot of that out so that you don't have to watch a whole hour for just 3 Am I the Asshole stories and my commentary. All right, bye.